Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's got what is currently the top bot on the ladder, negativeZero, dethroning Eris as the top AI. For the time being, I made a video that was probably published a couple weeks prior to this one saying negativeZero took spot number 1. And then it was dethroned fairly quickly again by, guess who? Eris. And so, but I figured it's always cool to sort of highlight that whenever the ladder changes up, that kind of thing, as it is a big accomplishment, and it's cool to see negativeZero being active. It's a very incredible Protoss bot, although it did recently get taken down in the SC2 AI tournament by Eris, so I look forward to this sort of feud continuing on. And now we have got BenBot in the upper left, a very good Terran bot that is just always a pleasure to watch, going for a bit of a cheeky proxy against negativeZero. BenBot really loves this proxy marine bunker build. So far, it has yet to be sort of scouted or any chat tag posted by negativeZero as a counter to this. So this will be a great test for the red Protoss bot, as BenBot sends in that SCV. It is now building that bunker immediately. We see a tag, proxy scouted, which I guess negativeZero just saw that there was no building inside the Terran's main base and said, nope, that is it. So the Protoss bot is just going to do what a lot of bots do, and that is cancel the expansion and just play off a one base. But then again, this is kind of the aim of BenBot in going for this build. It is just to shut down the early game macro of your opponent. negativeZero, interestingly enough, has a random proxy pylon out on the map. Now, whether this will be relevant or not, I am not sure, as that is something that may have been planned to be used, but upon scouting the proxy, negativeZero may have completely changed its build. So we're just going to see how quickly negativeZero can potentially break out of this, if at all, as it's not an easy thing to program your bot to deal with cheese or aggression, proxy bunkers, that sort of thing, because pathing and just programming in good logic is an absolute nightmare. Behind this, BenBot is going to be going for a command center. It looks like it actually stabbed to death the probe of negativeZero, I think. Looks like that was the case. I just barely glimpsed that massacre. And now, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this game, make sure to go ahead and click that like button if you haven't already. I sometimes get distracted when there's early game action. So yeah, if we can get one like on this video for, what day is it? It is currently the 20th as I record this, so yeah, if we can get 20 likes, that would be amazing. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see daily bot videos and get notified whenever I go live. You can click the bell. And then, as always, just big thank you to everyone that does support the channel via the YouTube membership program. It goes a long way. And yeah, let's see how this goes, as we do have multiple stalkers on the way for negativeZero to try and break this. It says tag contain 345, so presumably trying to break this location, and it's rather important that it does, as BenBot does have a tank crossing the map, so timing is quite important in this. One stalker takes a bit of damage, and it doesn't quite get microed back. The SCV is repairing this. We'll see if the bunker can be volleyed down or not. There is only 3 stalkers left. The bunker is being worked on, and it looks like it will be killed. Meanwhile, we do have negativeZero running its cloaked, or its hallucinated Phoenix into the mine, so it now knows it's up against burrowed units. We've got an Immortal on the way for the Protoss bot. BenBot, though, good programming, does end up sending that tank home. I believe it's sort of like a check if the bunker's alive or not. It will try and set the tank up to reinforce the proxy, but that wasn't the case, so it's just going to set up back at home. Now, BenBot is building a bunker on the low ground, and this is one of the things that negativeZero's bot author has been vocal about, in that there is no way to tell whether there's units inside of a bunker or not. So it can make calculating whether to attack or not very difficult in situations like this. But BenBot does at least have Marines inside, 2 Marines inside the bunker right now, so I wouldn't say it's the biggest factor in the world. But as there is 2 tanks and a Widow Mine behind this bunker, so negativeZero will have a very difficult time attacking on in. It's gonna try though as it walks forward, but it eats 1 Widow Mine shot, and yeah, that attack does not seem destined for success. The bunker, the 2 mines, the 2 tanks, it is not an easy thing to break the front with stalkers. That's why we see pro players traditionally go for like blinks inside the main, because it forces the opponent to try and cover multiple locations. An observer does come forward for BenBot, or for negativeZero, pardon me, gonna park on top of those observers, but I don't see this location getting breached anytime soon, which is exciting, because it means the game's potentially gonna go on longer here. The Terran does have a nice economic lead with the 3rd command center up, well, building. Meanwhile, negativeZero just got up its natural, but we'll see. BenBot is a very slow to build up bot, so that means that negativeZero, if it goes hard on the eco, it could definitely come back from this. And it does also have +1 attack, which is definitely going to benefit the stalkers as well. The Protoss is just pumping out more stalkers, making probes, that kind of thing. And yeah, we'll see what the tech's going to be. negativeZero's PvT is something that I haven't seen enough of, which is partly why I'm casting this match, as it's very exciting. I've definitely seen a few negativeZero PvTs, but like macro PvTs is not something that I've seen too darn often. Now, BenBot's got a battle cruiser on the way. We'll see if it's going to teleport and go for some harassment, or whether it will just hang out back at home. negativeZero also has recently been programmed to utilize recall, which could actually be very useful if there is battle cruiser harassment. The Protoss bot is now poking out, well, hitting BenBot's 3rd base on its way out. The bio for BenBot is trying to push these stalkers away. Unfortunately, the rest of these stalkers are kind of stuck trying to push into this location. If BenBot had all of its ground army at this 3rd base, I think it would probably be able to slaughter this bio and push the base off. But unfortunately, it's sort of being kept out, it seems, by that tank. I think that's probably what's going on. And so, a bit unfortunate for negativeZero. BenBot's bio is pushing these stalkers away. We see tag jump enemy base. So now we can watch and see if there's actually going to be a recall by negativeZero to deal with this harassment. The probes immediately start running. There is energy for a recall, and look at that. Recall by negativeZero. What does it recall? Actually, quite a few stalkers. So beautiful programming by the developer of negativeZero. I imagine that's kind of the exact type of thing they had in mind when it comes to actually programming in that logic. So really cool to see, and a successful defense on the battlecruiser for now. That's definitely the best recall I've seen of negativeZero. We've seen a few so far. They were having mixed results, but that is definitely what you want to have happen. And so yeah, that is just phenomenal. Now, we do have the Protoss bot trying to resume its push. It's heading towards the 3rd of BenBot, which is now a planetary with a tank established. So, unfortunately for the Protoss bot, the window to break that location has definitely passed. We do have a Stargate on the way, a 3rd Nexus for negativeZero, Blink, +2 attack coming on in. And this game is definitely set up to play out longer. I don't see negativeZero killing BenBot, and I kind of don't see BenBot going for a big move out itself. The battlecruiser for BenBot does teleport on home. And yeah, we'll just see where this one's going to go. Once negativeZero has Blink, that's really going to improve the effectiveness of these stalkers. The Protoss is just kind of hanging out for now. Like, yeah, I see you. I see you. Both these bots are staying out of range of each other. BenBot is moving out to secure up a 4th base. If negativeZero sees that, it would definitely be beneficial to try and pick that off. However, it does seem to be programmed to attack a different location. Yamato Cannon gonna kill off that Warp Prism. negativeZero immediately goes home after that. It says, sorry, Prism, I am out of here. A Hellion is gonna attack this pylon. We'll see if negativeZero tries to defend it or not. It's out on the map, so probably not. But the Protoss bot is just hanging out, down on supply, unfortunately. As BenBot is going to clean up this pylon. It's got a very formidable amount of bio with the battle cruisers in the sky as well. negativeZero really just has blink stalkers for the most part. And while bots are very good and negativeZero has phenomenal blink micro, that is not going to be a given that it's enough to deal with the just raw amount of bio that BenBot has. We do have this battlecruiser teleporting on in. We'll see if the stalkers blink on after it to potentially kill it. So far, no blinks just yet. A Phoenix is going to try and engage it, but unfortunately, the stalkers did not pursue that battlecruiser, and they definitely could have killed it if they had blinked. So a bit of a missed opportunity for negativeZero. Maybe it's just programmed to use its blinks more defensively. Anyway, BenBot is in triple battlecruiser production right now. They have +1 attack. They're going to have +2 armor, so that's a little bit concerning for the Protoss. Got a couple of Immortals. Now the Stalkers blink forward out on the map, which is interesting. And let's see, BenBot is moving on out to take a fight against negativeZero. There's the Prism, which can help micro these units. However, 2 Stalkers do go down. The bio doesn't have really any upgrades. negativeZero now has to recall to try and deal with another battlecruiser in its main base as BenBot is moving out. Not the best fight for negativeZero. And yeah, let's see here as the Stalkers are defending against the battlecruiser, as that recall definitely helped with that. The BCs, they are safe in that location. We hear another teleport go down. I believe that's... okay, yeah, just another one coming back behind that base. Meanwhile, the 4th base for negativeZero that it was trying to establish is being pressured, and this could potentially be the classic 1-2 punch against AI, where AI really struggles with multitasking when it comes to knowing where to put its army. That's why we see the classic sort of flip-flopping from bots of like, where do I go, where do I go? A Tempest is on the way for negativeZero. That could definitely help out in this situation. Stalkers are moving forward. We see BenBot bringing in more and more of these battle cruisers. They do have Yamato cannons, so that Tempest could have a very bad day once it pops out, as it could just be Yamato cannon to death. Stalkers are eating tank shots. That's not ideal. BenBot bringing the tanks with the push is quite lethal. Meanwhile, there is those BCs in the main. Looks like they are heading on out of there, and so negativeZero will seemingly defend this in the main. However, the push is getting really, really scary as all the Stalkers are out of position to defend against this. There's a battery cannon and probes at the 3rd that are vulnerable. Meanwhile, BC is joining the push, but I think the real problem is going to be the 4 tanks that are sieging on up here. And yeah, the bio is now going to be cleaning out the 3rd of negativeZero. Medivac takes some damage, boosts away. BenBot is quite determined to keep its units alive with how willingly it runs them away. The Protoss, though, is losing mining at its 3rd. It's building a 4th base, so good expanding behavior from negativeZero. Just this proxy seems to be too much for the red Protoss to handle. Stalkers moving forward, trying to get on top of some of the tanks. There's only 2 remaining as they do step forward into the tanks. That's something negativeZero does very well. It actually does clean up most of those tanks. However, we do have a battlecruiser teleport onto the army of negativeZero that's going to scatter the Stalkers. The Protoss simply doesn't have that many units left. Vikings are hunting the Colossus. There is at least this 4th base that's about to finish up, so negativeZero may still have a bit of an income, but it is simply down so many units, and I don't know how it's going to come back in this game. BenBot is maxed out, taking what I believe is that's like a 7th base for the Terran, whereas the Protoss is on 3 bases. And yeah, just BenBot, I think, able to take this one off the back of its successful proxy. Like, negativeZero is just so far behind. Map pathing, of course, could have played a little bit into that. The fact that negativeZero didn't really hit the 3rd when it could have. And then I guess just it did invest in quite a few units, which is when it could have potentially been trying to macro hard to catch up to BenBot. Either way, a very enjoyable game to see. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, click that like button. Leave a comment down below. Let me know more bots, more bananas, more croissants, something like that. And then, yeah, let me know if you want to see any certain bot matches. I think I'm probably going to do another BenBot versus negativeZero match just to see if we do get a different result. Maybe in an even longer game than this one. And, yeah, it definitely was an entertaining one to cast. That's for sure. Well done to both the bot authors, but BenBot's BCs, they are very powerful. It is cool to see how heavy BenBot goes in on the bio in the TVP matchup. Like, it does go really hard into the bio, like you'd expect a Terran to, whereas I think it builds a bit more of a varied composition. One against, like, Zergs. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that one. Anyway, a slow cleanup here. Stalkers are holding the line for now. The battle cruisers keep teleporting on in. The autocannon goes down, kills the Stalker. There's only 3 Stalkers left versus 9 battle cruisers. Those Stalkers have their work cut out for them. And, yeah, if you guys do want to support the channel and get various perks, consider using that join button or link down below to become a YouTube member. And that is pretty much going to be it for this one. GG.